All right. The next one is just an update on the different lawsuits against Adore. So it was most all of it has already been, well, all have been dismissed already. And I just want to clarify what it actually means. So this is the Chosen Business article about the termination of the lawsuit. So just as a background, Person A was responsible for managing advertising relations following NewJeans' termination of their independent contract in November. So there was this one person who was still employed in Adore who was supposed to take care of all the deals under Adore. And now Hybe learned that this person was actually trying to bypass Adore and go directly connect New Jeans and the companies directly. So, so when Adore learned about it, of course, they audited the person. I don't know if it's a girl. They audited the person, and now the person is saying that they actually bullied her and they forced her to they sort of detained her for 4 hours and confiscated her phone, and so she sued them for misconduct and for bullying. So now the labor ministry reviewed the case, and the judgment was administrative closure. And the newspapers were actually calling it not guilty, which is not accurate. It's not guilty, it's an administrative closure. So what it essentially means is that the ministry ruled that the materials provided by the complainant were insufficient to be substantiated. So it's like there's nothing to go by. We can't even um, investigate this because there's nothing to go by. You have nothing enough. There's nothing for us to investigate, nothing for us to analyze. And so that essentially means that um, the case is put on hold or dismissed without a final ruling on whether they are guilty or innocent, because there's just not enough to go by. So that also means that the case may be reopened in the future. Uh, it is not permanently closed. If these people or someone else can come up with a more with better evidence, with better pieces of evidence, then they can reopen the case. That's the difference between an administrative closure to a not guilty verdict, because a not guilty verdict means that the court has examined the evidence and decided that the prosecution failed to prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Okay. So if it is not a guilty verdict, the court cannot hear the same case again because that would be double jeopardy. But in this case, because it is an administrative closure, if somebody comes up with the pieces of evidence in the future, it can still be reopened. Now, let's just remember that the people who actually filed the complaint outside of this case with the former employee is some fans of New Jeans also filed a complaint about mistreatment, about harassment. All of those were also dismissed. So all the cases are were closed, administratively closed, because they did not have any proper evidence. Okay. So that's just to be clear. So in case, if for example, in the future, they can actually come up with any kind of evidence, then they can reopen the case. So for this case, it was an administrative closure according to the Ministry of Employment and Labor. They could not confirm workplace bullying based on the submitted documents. So they can confirm nor deny. They cannot say that the evidence is enough or not enough, that the evidence is convincing, not convincing. So this means that they did not find enough evidence to proceed further, but did not necessarily declare Adore or Hybe innocent. Okay. So those are two different things. Um, in a criminal law, a not guilty verdict means the accused has been tried and formally cleared of any charges. Here, the case was not taken to a trial or a legal proceeding. So just want to make that clear. They're not saying that Hybe or Adore are not guilty. They're just saying there's not enough to go by. So they can still open the case in the future just in case. Has anything connected to MHJ ever had evidence? Not yet. There hasn't been any with enough evidence. And that is one of the major contentions and arguments of people that if she had enough evidence, then she would just file a lawsuit. Considering she likes filing lawsuits, then she would just file a lawsuit. But since she's not filing a lawsuit, means it's not, she doesn't have anything, doesn't have enough evidence. That is the same thing is true with this um, complaints about plagiarism or whatever. Then take it to court. If you think it is copyright infringement, then take it to court. Okay. Um, Law is law. What is not legal not always is ethical nor fair, but it is a price for society and urbanism. I'm not really sure what you guys are talking about, but yes. I agree with the statement law is the law. In the journalism and media industry, we call it dura lex sed lex. The law may be harsh, but that is the law. Like a lot of things I don't agree with, but that is what we it was dismissed without prejudice. That is not what they're talking about. They said it's administratively dismissed. NJ case was heard. So they have a lot of lawsuits right now. There's a lot of cases related to them that are being heard. So as you know, Adore actually filed an injunction because they want the court to declare that the contract that they have is still valid. So that's one case that they have. Um, and I think just based on this is just an opinion. I think Hybe and Adore will start doing they will start filing lawsuits against people and against media once they have the decision. If the court declares that the contract is valid, so everybody else they will start suing. So I think that's what they're waiting for. That is why they're not suing anybody right now, because a lot of people are wondering like, why is Hyde not doing anything? They're not suing anybody. And I think it's because of that, because they're waiting for the decision to be final, and once it's final they're going to start suing people.